Hello and welcome to the world of Neko Deco Pop. As the heat starts to break and the existential dread settles in, thus we launch into a new school year. But why the hell would that matter to a 31-year-old introvert? Because this indoor cat will always have a soft spot for school and slice-of-life anime. So here are some of my favorites to help you ease into the school year and cope with that pre-seasonal depression anxiety. Komi can't communicate. Did somebody say anxiety? Cause Komi got it, and she got it bad. Komi Can't Communicate is about Komi, who, if you can believe it, can't communicate. No, really, homegirl's got such bad social anxiety that she is on the constant edge of a debilitating panic attack if anyone interacts with her. In a comical turn of events, her classmates take her panicked silence as a too cool for school bad bitch attitude and worship her as a god. During her first day of high school, she meets Tadano, your standard mob character whose dream of a peaceful high school life is violently shattered when he's seated next to Komi, making him a literal target of the rest of the class. Despite his crushing basicness, Tadano is able to read others like a pro. He catches on to Komi's truth, and for the first time outside her family, she's able to communicate with someone. Komi Can't Communicate is honestly one of my favorite anime from the last few years. It's obscenely wholesome, heartfelt, and absolutely hilarious. Complete with an absolutely eclectic array of side characters spanning from an overly energetic genderqueer agent of chaos with the social skills and social battery of an entire fandom, to that one theater kid whose main character syndrome has her literally existing on another plane, to the overly obsessed Komi fangirl whose obsession is just straight up problematic, and literally everyone in between. There's few anime that I loved so much that I started reading the manga obsessively after I finished the anime, and this is one of those. Please watch this show, it's just so good. Assassination Classroom. Had I known about this anime for years before I watched this? Yes. Did I sleep on it for way too long? Also yes. So why did I finally pull the trigger to watch it? One name. Megan the motherfucking Stallion. Yes, Queen Megan herself said in an interview that Assassination Classroom, alongside My Hero Academia and Blue Exorcist, were her favorite anime. So naturally, I had to watch it. Assassination Classroom is an anime unlike anything I've ever seen in the genre, with one of the weirdest premises ever. A new school year starts and a highly combat-trained junior high class is faced with a random alien teacher who gives them an impossible assignment: assassinate him by the end of the term. From here, you get an absolute overload of chaos and the students break out every single violent trick in the book to try to take him out. Only problem is, he's as good as all of them combined, and these kids are talented as hell. I don't want to say too much more about the plot because this is one best experienced in the moment. So, a little background about me. I am an impossibly lazy person. If an anime is over 24 episodes, unless it's really good, I'm not gonna watch it. It's honestly a miracle that I got through Attack on Titan, Haikyuu, and Monster. And you best believe that I am not gonna watch One Piece unless someone physically pays me for my time. Assassination Classroom is close to 50 episodes, which is also one of the reasons I delayed watching it, but the pacing between the two seasons is absolutely impeccable, and the ending slapped me so hard that it got me ugly crying. Prepare your feels, cause this is gonna be one wild ride. Tanaka-kun is always listless. As a chronically exhausted and lazy person, Tanaka-kun is always listless was 100% made for me. It follows Tanaka, who is also a chronically exhausted and lazy person who just wants to be left alone so he can nap. That's his motivation for everything. And I mean everything. And that's literally the entire plot. is just him doing the absolute bare minimum in high school so that he can shut out the world and take a nap. And since somehow he was able to snag a bestie who fully supports his laziness and will carry him from place to place, he's able to go through life as a human sloth. There's not really much to say about this anime other than it's wholesome and cozy. There's no big goal or life-changing message it's trying to promote. It's literally just about a kid who wants to sleep and enjoy his teenage years by literally being unconscious. But Tanaka-kun is Always Listless is able to make a plot as dry and sleepy as that into an engaging and delightful affair. If you're looking for a warm and fuzzy anime that requires literally no brain power but still delivers serotonin, this puppy's for you. Blue Period. We got another art-based anime for all the creative kids out there. Along with Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken, Blue Period is an absolutely beautifully crafted story about artists finding their voice and starting to understand the strength needed to live their best life. The story follows Yatsura Yaguchi, a high school jock who is pushed by his art teacher to actually give a shit and quickly discovers that art is his true calling. For someone who has spent the bulk of his life doing the bare minimum and being directionless, this sudden shift makes him completely reevaluate his entire life and future. One of the aspects that I really appreciated about this anime is that he isn't just automatically an art prodigy. He sucks at the beginning and really has to put the time and work in. And even then, he's still years behind his peers who've been doing this the bulk of their lives. I also thought they did a good job showing just how difficult it is to figure out how to make a living in the arts. How getting into an impossibly selective and expensive college is only the first steps before the real challenge. How do you survive in the real world? As a musician and creative type, I really appreciated this realism and also brutal honesty of how hard pursuing a life in the arts really is. I also loved the trans representation that Blue Period presents. It's really wonderful to see the anime community start to have more and more representation in general, especially positive representation of the trans community. The character in question is also given really good character development, and their gender is presented as a part of themselves and not just their main personality trait. I'm not gonna say who it is because this show is really good at revealing every storytelling layer and it's just best to see for yourself. Also, the art in this anime is truly breathtaking. I really enjoyed Blue Period a lot more than I initially expected and cannot wait for the second season. Kaguya-sama Love is War. Okay kids, we are officially in the big leagues. Kaguya-sama Love is War is one of the best anime I've ever seen. Full stop. It's an absolute masterclass in every sense and gets better with every viewing. The story follows a student council in Japan's most prestigious high school. We're talking the kids of royalty, celebrities, conglomerates, and high-profile politicians. The president and vice president are practically school idols, not only for their good looks, but academic achievements and leadership qualities. They're also both being violently shipped together by everyone and their mother, which helps since they also have feelings for each other. However, for the smartest and most accomplished students in the school, they are absolutely dipshits when it comes to the world of romance. We're talking zero experience, terrible romantic social skills, and all combined as a perfect storm to create some of the most arrogant teens ever. But they're not just dumb. They are determined to be the victor in the relationship. The tagline of the show is "Love is War and whoever confesses first will be conquered." Both parties are adamant that they'll get the other to confess their feelings first so that they themselves can have the upper hand in the relationship. Through their intense ferocity, they plan scheme after scheme to claim victory and have the other fall into their arms. This anime is absolutely brilliant because it's framed and constructed as a battle anime. Every single scheme ends with the narrator announcing the victor and loser from that battle. So that's just the bare bones concept of Kaguya-sama. What is built around it is one of the most expertly crafted anime I've ever seen. I literally don't have the time in this video to fully get into it, so I will link the hour-and-a-half deep dive that Mother's Basement did on it below. If you care about spoilers, I'd recommend watching at least through the second season before you watch his video. Another aspect that I love about this is that the dub and sub are on equal footing through their interpretation of the material. I personally prefer the dub because the narrator is voiced by Ian Sinclair, who's one of my favorite VAs in the industry, but they're both impeccable and absolutely unhinged. I've never seen a narrator utilized in the way that they do. He's not only another character, but is able to break through that meta fourth wall in hilarious and unexpected ways.
Ultra romantic!
Ultra romantic! Hold on to your memes, for another episode of Lies and Truths is about to commence. Is there no one to put a stop to their late-night juice-induced gremlin energy? Kashiwagi wins over her man. Spoken like someone who's kept her feelings locked up for the past 27 episodes. Eugene Academy is back!
In a world of mediocrity and basic-ass anime, Kaguya-sama Love is War is a scientific anomaly and truly in a league of its own. LOOKISM. LOOKISM is the first manhwa on this list and hopefully one of many to follow now that shows like Tower of God and LOOKISM are finally making manhwa adaptations mainstream. I heard that they're making a manhwa adaptation of Dangerous Convenience Store next year, so I'd like to apologize ahead of time for the absolutely unhinged person I'll become when they do. LOOKISM follows a high school student who is violently bullied and abused by his schoolmates and teachers. After a series of horrific events, he transfers schools, but then after an additional traumatic incident before class, he awakens in a new body. Except this body is the complete opposite of his and the body type he's always craved but never been able to achieve. Making the most out of this sci-fi scenario, he decides to go ahead and attend school in his new body. For the first time in his life, people treat him with respect and fawn over his every move. Throughout the series, he switches back between bodies and explores a myriad of experiences, as well as opens up possibilities that he would never have dreamed of before. I should also add that the OP is by one of my favorite K-pop groups, ATEEZ, and is probably one of my favorite OPs ever. Gotta get serious with y'all for a minute. This is not an easy watch. It explores the world of bullying in South Korea, and if you don't know much about bullying there, it's a whole other ballgame compared to the US. Those who've watched LOOKISM and the K-drama The Glory know what I'm talking about. The bullying that the main character is subjected to is unnecessarily cruel and absolutely heartbreaking. There's also a lot of fat phobia that's woven into it, so if you have triggers around these subjects, LOOKISM may be one to skip. Because at the end of the day, consuming media that triggers you is not worth it, and you need to prioritize your mental health first. There's absolutely no shame in this. I myself have also experienced anime that I've had to give up on. I had to completely skip an episode of Oshinoko and just straight up stop watching The Silent Voice because both triggered my SI trauma and I just couldn't do it. Please take care of yourself, and if you do have those triggers and decide to proceed watching this, take breaks when you need and listen to your body. Kimi no Todoke. Kimi no Todoke is one of those nostalgia animes that even though you didn't watch it in the late 2000s, it makes you feel like you were there during its heyday. Since I would have been the literal perfect demographic for this at the time, I'm honestly a little bummed I didn't know about it until now. The story follows Sawako, who's been renamed Sadako, after the girl from The Ring, due to her gloomy and scary nature. She keeps to herself, but when she is present, she unintentionally scares the ever-loving hell out of everyone around her. But unlike her classmates who believe that she has supernatural powers to communicate with the great beyond, Sawako is literally just a normal girl. Like Komi, she has terrible social anxiety. There's actually a handful of similarities between the two series, and since Komi was written years after, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some heavy inspiration. Kimi no Todoke is a truly delightful anime that showcases the personal transformation that begins when Sawako is noticed by the popular boy in her class, who introduces and invites her out into the world. It really is a heartwarming anime and had me grinning from ear to ear. Plus, it was chock full of dumb chibi faces, which just made my dumb little gay heart sing every time. The pacing is also super solid, and I found myself doing 6 to 8 episodes in a row each time I sat down to watch some. There's also a lot of mid to late 2000s nostalgia, which really hit home for me since that's when I was in junior high and high school. Overall, Kimi no Todoke is just a really sweet and fun anime to watch. If you like the OG Fruits Basket and Kami-sama Kiss, Kimi no Todoke will very quickly join them as one of your favorite animes of the era. Azumanga Daioh. Azumanga Daioh is a chaos anime, in that nearly everyone and everything in the storyline is truly chaotic. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that chaos anime is my favorite genre. Every single one of the characters is unhinged, from the students to the teachers to the weird hallucinations that somehow become their own character. This is also a big nostalgia anime for me since it was one of the few I watched religiously growing up. I rewatched some of it recently at an anime convention, and it absolutely holds up as being one of my favorite staples from growing up. Like I said before, every character is unhinged, and therefore so are the bulk of the storylines. This isn't really an overarching goal-seeking anime with lots of depth. It's mostly just, here's a bunch of chaotic high school girls, and what the f is happening, and why was she holding a knife in that one scene? The plot is just day-to-day shenanigans with a healthy dose of, okay, we're doing that now. As an adult watching this back, I identified so much more with the teachers than I was expecting to. They really don't have their shit together, and as an adult, I relate, because it's only in my 30s that I kinda have my shit together, and even then, it really depends on the day, and sometimes even the hour. Azumanga Daioh is a really nice anime to watch after a long day at school or work, when you just need a reset and something to give you back at least some of the serotonin you lost interacting with whatever fresh hell that day gave you. High School of the Dead. High School of the Dead is a garbage anime, and I say that with love. But when it comes down to it, this anime is trash, and I'm only recommending it because it's so bad that it's good. The overt sexuality and obscene fan service is beyond excessive. But my whole thing about fan service is, if you're gonna do it, you gotta commit to it. Don't sprinkle it in like Fire Force where it completely takes away from the plot. Commit to it, like in Food Wars. But yeah, when people think about anime in a bad way, they usually think of shit like this. I'm not gonna try to defend it, I'm just gonna admit that it's trash. But very entertaining trash. Also, not gonna recommend this one to kids or preteens, cause it's very sexual and very violent. But beyond that, High School of the Dead is so fucking entertaining. Anime doesn't do horror very well, so when I heard of a zombie anime, I was extremely skeptical. But this anime really pulls that shit off, and it's honestly super brutal. It was also able to convey very tense horror aspects, which really kept me on my toes. The story follows your standard angsty high school boy who somehow collects a harem around himself cause anime. He quickly finds himself in the middle of a full-blown zombie apocalypse with his childhood friend as they team up with other high schools to figure out how to survive. There's some really scary scenes, and there's also stupidly fan service scenes which you absolutely do not want your parents or roommates to walk in on. However, it also has this scene which is one of the stupidest but also spectacular scenes in all of anime. We can call High School of the Dead what it is: entertaining trash. Please don't take this anime seriously or come for me for recommending it. I really wanted to give y'all a wide variety of school-based animes, and this is just too good and too dumb not to mention. Here are some bonus recs if all of those anime weren't quite enough for you. Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun is about a romance-obsessed high school girl who falls hard for the school heartthrob, only to find out that he is completely unbothered and uninterested in a relationship. In order to get closer with him and win him over, she volunteers to help him with his projects, which is when she learns his big secret. He's actually one of the most celebrated shoujo mangakas in the game, and his manga is actually one that she actually reads all the time. She quickly joins his manga team to help him meet his weekly deadline and is plunged into his completely chaotic and confusing world. It was really nice to see a so-called romance anime get such a redirect into a hilarious slice of life for complete with some truly insane side characters and lots of gay shit. School Live. Yeah, it's an anime about high school girls who have a club where they live at school. And that's the entire plot. And there's no other plot lurching at the end of the first episode that reframes everything. But yeah, go into this super cute, slice of life, wholesome anime blind and enjoy the twists. Yeah. Since Ouran High School Host Club is such a cult classic and high school fan favorite, I was a little scared of leaving it off this list. But yeah, you know this anime, I know this anime, your mom knows this anime and is really sick of all those years you played the OP nonstop. It's a good enough anime, but it did not age very well. And some of y'all need to hear the hard truth. It does not need a second season, y'all. It's good, but it's not that good. With that being said, please don't dox me. Laid Back Camp. It's high school girls going camping. The end. That's literally the whole plot. Just girls camping by Mount Fuji in the fall, being all cozy and wholesome and stuff. This is another serotonin anime for when you need a pick-me-up or are just exhausted and want to watch a cute anime that doesn't require much brain power. Definitely a good one to watch after intense anime like Devilman Crybaby and Cyberpunk Edge Runners. So there you have it. A lot more anime than I was initially gonna recommend, but someone doesn't have impulse control. So now I got to go into an editing vortex, isolated from my loved ones to make this for y'all, but it was worth it! Cause going back to school in fall is kinda traumatizing for some of us, especially for those with seasonal depression who get to go through pre-seasonal depression anxiety, then the team meeting where our regular depression meets with seasonal depression and maps out how to destroy our lives for the next 5 months, to regular full-blown depression. And for our school fam, school is ungodly stressful, and my heart is with y'all cause I refuse to subject myself through that shit again. For those of y'all struggling like I did, my biggest piece of advice is to just be kind to yourself. Pursue what you're passionate about if that's accessible to you, and take self-care breaks when you need. For me, anime was always a really welcomed escape, so I hope these anime can do that for you too. I wish you all the best in this school year. I know it's an absolute pain in the ass, but we got this. Here's where you can watch all of these anime. Please like and subscribe if you like the video. We're gonna be having another anime react next Friday. It's gonna be my first series, and I'm honestly really not looking forward to the series because it kind of traumatized me with the first episode last time. But we're gonna do it because I made a promise to my bestie. It's a whole thing. I don't want to talk about it. But yeah, thank you guys so much for sticking around, and I'll see all of y'all on the next one.